Captain Jinho Kim stood at the observation deck of the UES Horizon, watching the massive space station grow larger in the viewport. The structure looked like a giant metal flower with 12 petals, each section representing a different alien species. Today would mark the first official meeting between humanity and the Galactic Council. "Captain, we're receiving docking instructions from the station," said Lieutenant Myra Park, the ship's communication officer and xenobiology expert. She had spent years studying alien languages and cultures, preparing for this moment. "You, Lieutenant Commander Lee, are your security teams ready?" Jinho asked, turning to his security chief. Commander Taiwan Lee nodded firmly. "All teams are prepared, sir, though I still don't understand why they requested we come with minimal weapons. This could be a trap." Jinho understood Taiwan's concerns. The Galactic Council had made several strange requests. They wanted only a small human delegation. They insisted the meeting happen on neutral ground rather than on any home world. Most puzzling of all, they had specifically asked that all humans were reflective visors during the negotiations. "Remember, this is diplomacy, not warfare," Jinho said. "We're here to prove that humanity deserves a place among the galactic community." The docking process took 30 minutes. Their shuttle entered the station's bay. Janine noticed something odd. The docking area was completely empty except for automated systems. No alien workers, no welcoming committee, nothing. "Where is everyone?" Mira asked, looking around the silent bay. A mechanical voice filled the air. "Human delegation. Please proceed to Chamber 7 for preliminary scanning and safety procedures." The three humans walked through the station's corridors. The architecture was beautiful, but strange, with curved walls that seemed to flow like water. Soft blue lights guided their path, and the air smelled faintly of flowers they didn't recognize. Then they saw their first alien. A tall, thin creature with silver skin and 4 arms was walking toward them. It had large, dark eyes that seemed to take up half its face. The moment it noticed the humans, it looked directly at them for perhaps 3 seconds, then quickly turned its head away and hurried down a side corridor. "That was rude," Taiwan muttered. "Maybe they're just nervous," Mira suggested, but she looked confused too. They encountered more aliens as they walked. Each time, the same thing happened. The aliens would notice them, make brief eye contact, then immediately look away and either leave quickly or press themselves against the wall until the humans passed. "This is getting weird," Jinho said quietly. Chamber 7 turned out to be a large, round room with a single table in the center. 12 chairs surrounded the table, 11 of them occupied by different alien species. The 12th chair was obviously meant for the human representative. The aliens were amazing to see. One looked like a walking tree with bark-like skin and leaves for hair. Another resembled a giant butterfly with 6 arms and wings that shimmered like oil on water. A third alien appeared to be made entirely of blue crystal, reflecting the room's lights in beautiful patterns, but not one of them was looking at the humans. "Welcome, representatives of Earth," said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The crystal alien's body was vibrating, creating the sound. "I am Yuna, current Prime Speaker of the Galactic Council. Thank you for this opportunity," Jinho replied, moving toward the empty chair. "I am Captain Jinho Kim of the United Earth ship Horizon." As he sat down, he noticed something disturbing. Every alien in the room was staring at points just above the humans' heads, or at the table, or at the walls. None of them would look directly at the human faces. "Before we begin," Yuna continued, "we must address a matter of safety. Medical teams have prepared protective visors for your delegation. We strongly recommend you wear them during our discussions." "Safety?" Mira asked. "Are we in danger?" "Not you," replied a different alien, one that looked like a large, furry bear with 6 legs. "It is for our protection, not yours." The room fell silent. Jinho felt a chill run down his spine. I don't understand. Protection from what? Yuna's crystal body flickered with different colors. Captain Kim, your species has been observed for many decades. We have watched your wars, your art, your science, and your exploration of space. You have shown great potential and intelligence. That sounds positive, Jinho said carefully. Yes, but there is something else. Something that makes direct contact with humans difficult for most species. What do you mean? Taiwan asked, his hand unconsciously moving toward his sidearm. A new alien spoke up. One that looked like a floating jellyfish with tentacles that glowed softly. Your eyes, human. There is something about your eyes that causes us great distress. Eyes, Mira said, touching her face. What's wrong with our eyes? When we look into human eyes, Yuna explained, we see something that our deepest instincts recognize as dangerous. It is not something you do deliberately. It is simply what you are. Jinho leaned forward. Can you explain this more clearly? Eyes carry what we call the void that devours stars, said the tree-like alien in a voice like wind through leaves. When we meet your gaze, we see the hunter that has never forgotten how to hunt. I don't understand, Jinho said. We're not hunters. We're explorers, scientists, diplomats. Perhaps, Yuna replied, but your eyes tell a different story. They speak of intelligence that calculates, evaluates, and plans. They show minds that can look at any situation and instantly assess threats, weaknesses, and opportunities. Doesn't sound like a bad thing, Taiwan said. For most species, it is terrifying, the bear-like alien explained. We evolved as prey animals, herbivores, or symbiotic creatures. Our ancestors survived by avoiding predators, not by becoming them. When we look into human eyes, every instinct tells us to flee. Mira pulled out her tablet and began taking notes. How long have you been studying humans? Since your first radio broadcasts, Yuna answered. We hoped that as you develop space travel, this effect would diminish. Instead, it has become stronger. What happens if we make eye contact? Jinho asked. Psychological distress, replied the jellyfish alien. Panic responses. Some species become physically ill. Others enter defensive states that can last for hours. But you're talking to us now, Taiwan pointed out. Cause we are very carefully not looking at your eyes, Yuna said. And because we are prepared for this meeting, even so, several council members chose not to attend today. Jinho thought about this. So what happens now? Are we banned from the galactic community because of our eyes? That is what we must decide, Yuna said. This is unprecedented. Never before have we encountered a species that achieved intelligence while retaining such strong predatory instincts. Most species lose their hunter nature when they develop advanced thinking, but not humans, Mira said quietly. No, not humans. Your species appears to be unique in this regard. The room fell silent again. Jinho could feel the weight of this moment. Humanity's future among the stars might depend on how they handled this strange biological quirk. What do you propose? He asked finally. We will discuss this among ourselves, Yuna replied. For now, we ask that you remain on the station as our guests. There are quarters prepared for you. Tomorrow, we will reconvene to determine if there is a way forward. As the aliens began to leave, each one carefully avoiding eye contact with the humans, Jinho realized that first contact was far more complicated than anyone had imagined. The future of humanity in space might depend on learning to use their eyes differently. Dr. Sungyan Cho sat in his laboratory deep beneath the Seoul Research Institute, watching the video transmission from the alien space station for the 5th time. The message from Captain Jinho Kim had arrived 3 days ago, and it had changed everything humanity thought they knew about themselves. Play it again, Hiren, he said to his research partner. Dr. Hiron Nam pressed a button on her tablet. The holographic display showed the crystal alien named Yuna speaking to the human delegation. Your eyes carry the void that devours stars. When we meet your gaze, we see the hunter that has never forgotten how to hunt. Fascinating, muttered Dr. Kangman, Yu from his workstation across the room. The evolutionary biologist had been studying human development for over 20 years. But this was something completely new. Sung-Yin had been called in because of his expertise in psychological warfare and human behavior. The government wanted answers, and they wanted them fast. If humans could not make proper eye contact with alien species, it could mean the end of any hope for joining the galactic community. Let's start with the basics, Sung-Yin said, standing up and walking to the large screen on the wall. What do we know about human eye contact compared to other Earth species? Hiron pulled up her research files. Most mammals use eye contact for dominance displays or mating rituals. Primates use it for social bonding and establishing hierarchy. But humans are different. How different? Kamen asked, moving closer to listen. Humans can maintain eye contact while thinking complex thoughts, Hiron explained. We can look at someone and simultaneously plan, calculate, remember, and evaluate. Most animals either look away when thinking or cannot process complex thoughts while maintaining visual contact. Sung-Yin nodded slowly. That's interesting. What about predator versus prey behavior? Kangman opened his own files. This is where it gets really interesting. Most intelligent species on Earth evolved from prey animals or omnivores. Dolphins, elephants, great apes, even octopi. They all developed intelligence as a survival tool against predators. But humans are different, Sung-Yin said. Exactly. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. We chased our prey for miles until they collapsed from exhaustion. We worked in groups, planned attacks, and used tools. We became intelligent while staying predators. Hiron added more data to the screen. I've been analyzing the footage from the station. Watch how the aliens react to human eye contact. The video showed different aliens encountering the human delegation. Each time, the aliens would look at the humans briefly, then immediately turn away or show signs of distress. The tree-like aliens' leaves rustled nervously. The bear-like creatures' fur stood on end. The jellyfish alien's tentacles pulled in tight against its body. Classic prey responses, Kangman observed. Fight, flight, or freeze. But why? Sung-Yin asked. What are they seeing that we don't understand? Hiron had been working on this question for days. I think I know. Let me show you something. She pulled up a new video, this one showing human subjects in the lab. I've been studying human eye contact patterns. Watch this. The video showed two humans talking normally, maintaining eye contact throughout their conversation. But Hiron had added special tracking software that showed what the subjects were actually doing with their eyes during the conversation. See these micro movements? Okay. She pointed to tiny red dots on the screen. Humans constantly scan the other person's face while talking. We check for emotional responses, look for signs of lying, assess body language, and evaluate potential threats. We do this automatically without even thinking about it. That's normal social behavior, Sung-Yin said. For humans, yes, not. But watch this comparison. The next video showed primates interacting. Their eye contact was simpler, more direct. They looked at each other's eyes for dominance or submission, but they weren't constantly analyzing and evaluating. Humans are always hunting, Hiron said quietly. Even when we're just talking to friends or family, part of our brain is constantly assessing, planning, and calculating. We look at people and instinctively evaluate their weaknesses, their strengths, their escape routes. Kangman looked troubled. Are you saying humans are naturally violent? Not violent, Sung-Yan corrected. Strategic. We think like predators, even when we have no intention of hurting anyone. It's hardwired into our brains. Let me test this theory, Hiram said. She pulled up the communication link to the space station. Captain Kim, can you hear me? Jinho's voice came through clearly. Dr. Nam, good to hear from you. Any progress on our eye contact problem? We have a theory, but we need to test it. Can you set up a video call with one of the alien representatives you want to observe their reaction to controlled eye contact? I'll ask Yuna. She's been the most willing to communicate with us. 20 minutes later, they had a video connection with the crystal alien. Yuna's form appeared on their screen, but she was clearly not looking directly at the camera. Yuna Sung-Yin said, "We want to try something. I'm going to look directly at the camera for exactly 5 seconds. Can you tell us what you experience?" We'll try, Yuna replied, her crystal body flickering with nervous energy. Sung-Yan stared directly into the camera. He didn't try to look friendly or harmless, okay? He just looked the way humans naturally looked at things. After 3 seconds, Yuna's form began to resonate with a high-pitched sound. Her crystal structure started to change, becoming more angular and defensive. "Stop," she said quickly. "Please, stop." Sung-Yan looked away. "What did you experience?" "I felt like I was being evaluated," Yuna said, her voice shaking. "Like you were measuring my defenses, looking for weaknesses. I could sense your mind calculating how to overcome me, even though I know you meant no harm." "That's exactly what I was afraid of," Hiram whispered. Kangman pulled up more data. "I've been researching the alien species we've encountered. Single one evolved from prey animals, herbivores, or symbiotic organisms. None of them have predatory backgrounds, which explains why they find us so disturbing," Sung-Yan said. "When they look into human eyes, they see something their evolution has programmed them to fear. But it's not just fear," Hiram added. "It's the intelligence behind the predatory instincts that terrifies them. A simple predator they could understand and avoid. But an intelligent predator, one that can plan and calculate while looking at them, that's something completely outside their experience." "So, what do we do?" Chino's voice came through the communication link. "How do we fix this?" Sung-Yin thought for a moment. "We need to understand exactly what they're seeing. Hiram, can you design an experiment to measure the intensity of human eye contact compared to other species?" "Already working on it," she replied. "But Sung-Yin, I think there's something else we need to consider." "What?" "If this trait is universal in humans, it means every single person on Earth carries it. The peaceful farmer, the kindergarten teacher, the elderly grandmother, they all have the same predatory assessment ability in their eyes." "That's impossible," Kangman said. "Surely some humans don't have this trait." "Let's test it," Hiram said. She called in several volunteers from different backgrounds: librarian, a chef, a musician, and a children's doctor. One by one, they looked into the camera while Yuna observed. Each time, the result was the same. Yuna became distressed and asked them to stop looking at her. "It's not about profession or personality," Hiram concluded. "It's about being human. We all evolved from the same ancestors, and we all carry the same predatory instincts in our eyes. Even when we're trying to be friendly," Sung-Yan added. "Even when we're trying to help others, part of our brain is always evaluating, always calculating, always hunting." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. This wasn't something humans could simply learn to control or hide. It was part of their fundamental nature, written into their DNA over millions of years of evolution. "The question now," Sung-Yin said finally, "is whether this makes us monsters or whether it makes us something the galaxy has never seen before." Dr. Sung-Yin Cho stood before the massive screen displaying brain scans of human subjects. The Seoul Research Institute had been working around the clock for a week, and their discoveries were becoming more shocking by the day. "Show me the comparison." Again, he said to Dr. Hiram Nam, who was operating the main computer system. The screen split into two parts. On the left was a brain scan of a human making eye contact. On the right was a brain scan of a chimpanzee doing the same thing. Look at the activity patterns. Hiram pointed to the colorful areas on the scans. When chimps make eye contact, only the social recognition areas light up. But humans, ... Humans are completely different. Dr. Kangman, you finish from his workstation. Threat assessment, strategic planning, spatial analysis, memory recall, and emotional evaluation all activate simultaneously. Sung Yan studied the scans carefully. So when a human looks at someone, their brain is doing at least 5 different types of analysis at once. Exactly. And that's just what we can measure. There might be more processes happening that we don't understand yet. The communication link from the space station crackled to life. Earth team, this is Captain Kim. We have a volunteer situation here. Go ahead, Captain, Sung Yan responded. Commander Taiwan Lee wants to participate in your experiments. He's willing to make extended eye contact with the aliens to help us understand what's happening. Sung Yan exchanged glances with his team. Captain, we don't know what prolonged exposure might do to the aliens. I understand the risks. Taiwan's voice came through the link. But we need answers. I'm trained for psychological warfare. Okay, if anyone can handle this experiment, it's me. Very well. Okay, but we'll monitor everything carefully. Hiram set up the multi-species observation protocol. An hour later, they had video connections with 5 different alien species on the station. Each alien was in a separate chamber with medical monitoring equipment. The plan was simple, but risky. Taiwan would make direct eye contact with each species for increasing periods of time while both human and alien medical teams monitored the results. First subject ready, Captain Kim announced. This is Bai Kyun from the Altarian delegation. Screen showed a tall, silver-skinned alien with large dark eyes. Kyun was clearly nervous, his 4 arms fidgeting with what appeared to be a small device. Begin with 5 seconds, Sun Yan instructed. Taiwan looked directly at the camera, and, by extension, at Bai Kyun. The alien's reaction was immediate. His silver skin began to change color, becoming more reflective and mirror-like. His breathing increased rapidly. Stop, Bai Kyun said quickly. I cannot continue. What did you experience? Hiram asked. I felt like I was being hunted, Bai Kyun replied, his voice shaking. Not chased, but studied. Like the human was learning everything about me, finding all my weak points. That's fascinating, Kangman muttered, taking notes. Let's try the next subject. The second alien was from the Zephyrian species, a creature that looked like a large, furry mammal with 6 legs. Her name was Su Yang, and she had volunteered despite being obviously terrified. I will try to be brave, she said, her fur already standing on end. Taiwan looked at her for 3 seconds. Su Yang's reaction was even more dramatic than Bai Kyun's. She made a high-pitched, whining sound and actually fell over, curling into a defensive ball. Stop the experiment, she cried. I see death in those eyes. Not my death, but the death of my entire species. That's impossible, Taiwan said, looking away from the camera. I wasn't thinking about violence at all. I was just looking at her. But what were you thinking? Sung Yan asked. Te-1 considered for a moment. I was noticing details. The way her fur moves, how she breathes, where her eyes focus, how she positions her body. I was just observing. That's exactly the problem, Hiram said quietly. You're gathering tactical information without even realizing it. The third test subject was a nereid, an aquatic species that looked like a cross between a dolphin and an octopus. His name was Jinwoo, and he was floating in a tank of water. I will attempt this, Jinwoo said, his tentacles swirling nervously. My species prides itself on mental strength. Taiwan looked at him for 4 seconds. Jinwoo's reaction was different from the others. Instead of showing fear, he became very still, almost paralyzed. Interesting, he said, after Taiwan looked away. I did not feel fear. I felt ... recognition. Recognition of what? Sung Yan asked. My species were once hunted by great predators in our oceans. We learned to recognize the gaze of those who would eat us. The human gaze is exactly the same, but more complex. It is the look of something that not only wants to hunt, but knows how to hunt intelligently. Can you be more specific? Hiram asked. When a simple predator looks at prey, it sees food. When the human looks at me, I can sense him calculating how to catch me, how to corner me, how to predict my movements. It is not emotional, it is purely analytical. The fourth subject was from the Crystalline Collective, a species similar to Yuna, but smaller. Her name was Yunji, and she had insisted on participating, despite the risks. I must understand this phenomenon, she said, her crystal body flickering with determination. Taiwan looked at her for 6 seconds. Yunji's crystalline structure began to change, becoming more angular and defensive. But she held her position. Continue, she said, though her voice was strained. TE1 maintained eye contact for another 4 seconds. Kunji's form started to resonate with a high-pitched sound that made everyone in both locations cover their ears. Enough, she said finally. I have learned what I needed to know. What did you discover? Sung Yan asked. The human mind operates on multiple levels simultaneously. While looking at me, he was evaluating my physical structure, my emotional state, my defensive capabilities, and my potential reactions to different stimuli. It was like being analyzed by a computer and a predator at the same time. The final test was with a member of the Harmony species, tree-like beings who communicated through shared emotions. The subject was named Wu Jin, and he was the bravest. Of all the volunteers, my species feels what others feel, he explained. I want to know what the human feels while looking at us. Taiwan looked at Wu Jin for 8 seconds, the longest contact yet. Wu Jin's leaf-like appendages began to curl and change color, cycling through various shades of green and brown. Fascinating, Wu Jin said when it was over. The human feels no malice, no desire to harm, but underneath, there is something else. A constant awareness of survival, of competition, of the need to evaluate every situation for advantage. That doesn't sound evil, Taiwan said. It is not evil, Wu Jin agreed. We evolved to cooperate, to share, to live in harmony. The human mind is always preparing for conflict, even when seeking peace. After the experiments ended, the research team gathered to analyze the results. The data was overwhelming and disturbing. Single species had the same basic reaction, Hiram summarized. They all recognized something in human eyes that their evolution taught them to fear. But it's not just fear, Kangmin added. It's the recognition of a type of intelligence they've never encountered before. It's an intelligence that can be friendly and analytical at the same time, Sung Yan concluded. That can seek cooperation while simultaneously evaluating competitive advantage. The question is, Hiram said, what do we do with this knowledge? How do we use it to build relationships with species that are fundamentally terrified of the way we think? Maybe, Sung Yan said slowly, the answer isn't to hide what we are. Maybe it's to help them understand what we are. And what, exactly, are we? Kangmin asked. Sung Yan looked at the data one more time. We are the galaxy's first species to achieve intelligence without losing our predatory instincts. We are apex predators who learn to think, rather than thinkers who learn to survive. That makes us unique, Hiram said. Sung Yan replied. The question is whether that makes us valuable or dangerous. The room fell silent as they contemplated the implications of their discovery. Humanity was not just different from other intelligent species. Speed was something the galaxy had never seen before, and that could change everything. Captain Jin-Ho Kim stood outside the main council chamber, holding a small device that Dr. Hiran Nam had sent from Earth. The device would help him control his eye contact timing with precise accuracy. Today would determine whether humanity had a future among the stars or would remain forever isolated. "Are you ready for this?" Lieutenant Myra Park asked, checking her own timing device. "As ready as anyone can be for something that's never been tried before," Jin-Ho replied. Commander Taiwan Lee nodded silently beside them, his face showing the calm focus of someone prepared for battle. The past week had been intense. The research team on Earth had developed what they called the Human Integration Protocol. It was based on a simple but revolutionary idea. Instead of hiding their predatory nature, humans would learn to communicate it in a way that wouldn't trigger panic in alien species. The protocol had three main parts. First, humans would make eye contact for exactly 3 seconds, no more, no less. Second, they would then look down into the side, mimicking the submission behaviors that prey species use to signal non-aggression. Third, they would extend their hands palm up, showing they carried no weapons and meant no harm. "Remember," Myra said, "the key is showing them that we can control our instincts, that we're not slaves to our predatory nature." The chamber doors opened, and the three humans walked inside. The scene was different from their first meeting. Instead of sitting around a table, the aliens were arranged in a large circle. Each species had their own section, their delegates standing or floating in their preferred positions. Yuna, the crystal alien who served as prime speaker, was in the center of the circle. Her form was more angular than before, clearly showing her nervousness about this meeting. "Welcome back, humans," she said, her voice resonating through the chamber. "We have spent many days discussing your proposal. Some of our member species believe this experiment is too dangerous to attempt. We understand the risks," Jin-Ho said, stepping forward. "But we also believe this might be the only way forward for both our species and yours. Explain your protocol one more time," requested by Kyun, the silver-skinned Altarian who had participated in the eye contact experiments. Mira stepped forward. "We have learned that our eyes carry information that triggers fear in species who evolved as prey animals. We cannot change what we are, but we can learn to communicate our intentions more clearly. The protocol has 3 steps," Jin-Ho continued. "First, we make brief eye contact to show respect and attention. Second, we break eye contact in a way that signals we are not threatening. Third, we use body language to reinforce our peaceful intentions." "And you believe this will work?" asked Suyang, the furry Sephian whose reaction to human eye contact had been particularly strong. "We believe it's worth trying," Taiwan said. "The alternative is permanent separation between our species, and none of us want that." Yuna's crystal form flickered with different colors as she considered the proposal. "Very well, we will attempt this protocol, but we must start slowly, with volunteers only." "I will be the first," said an unexpected voice. It was Wu Jin, the tree-like harmony delegate who had participated in the experiments. "My species felt what the human felt during eye contact. I understand now that the predatory awareness is not evil, just different." Wu Jin moved to the center of the circle, his leaf-like appendages rustling nervously. "I am ready." Jin-Ho activated his timing device and stepped forward. He looked directly into Wajin's large, dark eyes. The alien immediately tensed, his bark-like skin roughening defensively. Jin-Ho held the eye contact for exactly 3 seconds, then looked down and to the left, just as the protocol required. The effect was immediate. Wujin's defensive posture relaxed slightly. "Interesting," he said. "The Tory evaluation was still there, but the submission signal afterward told me that you choose not to act on that evaluation." "Exactly," Jin-Ho said. extending his hands. Palm up. We see, we analyze, but we choose peace. Woojin's leaves rustled in what the humans had learned was a sign of approval among his species. I felt the moment when your predatory instincts activated, but then I also felt your conscious choice to override them. 8. This is remarkable. May I try? Asked Yunji, the smaller, crystalline being who had endured the longest eye contact during the experiments. Jinho nodded and repeated the protocol with her. Yunji's crystal structure became angular and defensive during the 3 seconds of eye contact. But when Jinho looked away and extended his hands, her form softened. I can feel the difference, she said. The analytical evaluation is still frightening, but the conscious control afterward shows intelligence beyond mere predatory instinct. One by one, other aliens volunteered to try the protocol. Some, like Jinwoo, the aquatic nereid, found it easier to handle than others. Some, like the butterfly-like gossamer delicates, couldn't manage it at all and retreated from the chamber. But, slowly, a pattern emerged. The aliens who could handle the protocol began to understand something revolutionary about humans. You are showing us that intelligence can control instinct, observed Dr. Kiwoo, an insect-like alien from the Hive Collective. This is something we have never seen before. Most species evolved intelligence to escape their nature, added Yuna. Prey animals became smart to avoid predators. Herbivores became intelligent to find better food sources. But humans became intelligent while keeping their predatory nature. And now you're showing us that you can choose when to use that nature and when not to, Woojin said, his voice filled with something that sounded like wonder. Myra stepped forward. That's exactly right. We can't change what we are, but we can choose what we do with what we are. This has implications beyond just eye contact, Yuna said thoughtfully. If humans can consciously control their predatory instincts, they might be able to help us with problems we've never been able to solve. What kind of problems? Taiwan asked. Strategic problems, Baikuna answered. Military problems. Our galaxy has threats that we've never been able to handle effectively because we think like prey animals. We avoid danger instead of confronting it. We run from problems instead of solving them, added Su Yang. I've been hoping that threats would go away if we ignored them long enough. But humans think differently, Yuna said. You see problems and immediately start calculating solutions. Q. You see threats and begin planning how to overcome them. K. Are you saying you want our help with something? Jinho asked carefully. Perhaps, Yuna replied. But first, we need to know if this protocol can work on a larger scale. Can other humans learn to do what you've just done? We believe so, Mira said. The research team on Earth has been training more volunteers, but it will take time for all humans to learn this level of control. It's time we may not have, said a new voice. K. Alien that looked like a floating energy being had appeared in the chamber. The humans had never seen this species before. This is Daeyeon from the Ethereal Collective, Yuna explained. They rarely participate in council meetings, but they've come specifically to meet the humans. Why? Jinho asked. 'Cause, Daeyeon said, his energy form pulsing with urgency. There is something coming toward our galaxy. Something that has destroyed 3 other galactic civilizations. Something that our pre-evolved minds cannot comprehend or fight. We need predators, Yuna said quietly. We need beings who can think like hunters, who can plan like warriors, who can face threats instead of running from them. We need humans, Woojin added. But only if you can prove that your predatory nature can be controlled and directed. Chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. It wasn't just about diplomatic relations anymore. The entire galaxy might depend on whether humans could master their own nature and use it to protect species that had never learned to fight. What exactly are we facing? Taiwan asked, his military training taking over. That, Yuna said, is what we need to discuss next. But first, Are you willing to help us, even knowing that it might mean turning humans into the galaxy's defenders? Jinho looked at his team, then back at the assembled aliens. We'll need to contact Earth and discuss this with our leaders. But, speaking for myself, if our nature can be used to protect innocent species, then that's exactly what we should do with it. Then, Yuna said, let us begin planning for war. 6 months after the first diplomatic meeting, Captain Ginho Kim stood on the bridge of the new Joint Command ship, watching holographic displays that showed the edge of the galaxy. The ship itself was a marvel of combined technology, built with alien engineering but designed with human strategic thinking. Enemy fleet detected at Sector 7, reported Lieutenant Myra Park, who now served as the chief communication officer between human strategists and alien engineers. The Devourers are moving faster than our models predicted. The Devourers were what the galaxy called them. Nobody knew their real name or where they came from. They had destroyed 3 other galactic civilizations, consuming every planet and leaving nothing behind but empty space. Now they were coming for this galaxy. How long until they reached the outer colonies? Asked Commander Taiwan Lee, who had become the head of human military advisors. 48 hours, replied Yuna, whose crystal form now pulsed with patterns that humans had learned to read as battle readiness. All prey species had been evacuated from the outer rim. The bridge was filled with representatives from 12 different species, but the atmosphere was completely different from that first diplomatic meeting. Now, aliens and humans worked together smoothly, each contributing what they did best. Dr. Cho, what's the status on the human integration training? Jinho asked. Dr. Sungyan Cho appeared on the communication screen from Earth. Behind him, hundreds of humans were practicing the eye contact protocols with alien partners. We now have 10,000 trained human strategic advisors ready for deployment. Each one has mastered the integration protocol and can work directly with alien crews. Excellent. Dr. Nam, how are the alien crews adapting to human strategic thinking? Dr. Hiron, Nam smiled from her position at another workstation. Better than we hoped. Once they understood that humans could control their predatory instincts, they became eager to learn from us. The Altarians, especially, have shown remarkable progress in tactical thinking. This was the revolution that had changed everything. The human integration protocol had evolved from a simple diplomatic tool into something much larger. Humans had learned to consciously control when they used their predatory gaze, and aliens had learned to see that gaze as a tool rather than a threat. The real breakthrough came when we realized we could teach strategic thinking to prey evolved species, added Dr. Kangman Yu from his research station. They can't think like predators naturally, but they can learn to recognize predatory solutions when we show them. The transformation had been remarkable. Alien engineers had designed ships and weapons beyond human imagination, but they had never been able to create effective battle strategies. Human military advisors had provided the strategic framework, while alien technology made those strategies possible. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Ethereal Collective, Mira announced. Dae-Yoon, the energy being who had first warned them about the Devourers, appeared on the main screen. Humans, the enemy has arrived at the outer defense line. Your strategies are about to be tested in real combat. All ships report ready, Taiwan confirmed. Human advisors are paired with alien crews on every vessel. They know their roles. The first battle had been the most important test. The Devourers fought like a swarm, overwhelming their enemies with numbers and aggression. Previous galactic civilizations had tried to defend by hiding, retreating, and hoping the enemy would move on. All of them had been completely destroyed. But humans had suggested a different approach. Instead of running from the Devourers, they would hunt them. Enemy ships are entering the trap zone, reported Wu Jin from his position, monitoring the battle. His tree-like form showed the stress patterns that his species displayed during conflict, but he remained focused on his task. The human strategy was simple, but effective. Okay? They had identified the devourer's weakness. They were so focused on consuming and destroying that they didn't expect their prey to fight back intelligently. The galaxy's combined fleets were arranged in a pattern that looked like a retreat, but was actually an elaborate ambush. Spring the trap, Genho ordered. Across dozens of star systems, alien ships that had appeared to be fleeing suddenly turned and attacked. Devourer ships that had been spread out in pursuit formation found themselves surrounded and outgunned. For the first time in their conquest of multiple galaxies, the Devourers were losing. Direct hit on the enemy command ship, announced by Kyun, whose silver skin now showed battle scars from his service as a combat coordinator. The crystalline collective's weaponry is devastating when used with human targeting strategies. Sir, we're getting reports from all battle zones, Myra said excitedly. The enemy is retreating from every system simultaneously. The bridge erupted, and cheers from multiple species, each celebrating in their own way. But Genho knew this was only the first victory in what would be a long war. This is just the beginning, he announced to the bridge crew. The Devourers will adapt and return with new strategies. We need to stay ahead of them. Agreed, said Yuna. But today has proven something important. The combination of human strategic thinking and alien technology is more powerful than either could be alone. Over the following months, the partnership between humans and aliens evolved into something unprecedented in galactic history. Humans became the galaxy's strategic planners, military advisors, and tactical experts. In return, aliens provided technology, resources, and specialized knowledge that humans could never have developed alone. The integration protocol has become more than just a way to make eye contact, Dr. Sung-Yan Cho reported during a strategy meeting. It's become a symbol of controlled cooperation between predator and prey species. Human children are now learning alongside alien children in integrated schools, added Dr. Irene Nam. The next generation won't see each other as predators and prey, but as partners. The 10-second rule had become official policy throughout the galaxy. Humans could make eye contact with aliens for up to 10 seconds during normal conversation, using the integration protocol to signal their peaceful intentions. This allowed for meaningful communication while preventing the psychological distress that longer contact could cause. But perhaps the most important development was the establishment of the Galactic Defense Corps. This new organization combined human strategic leadership with alien technical expertise to protect the galaxy from future threats. Captain Kim Yuna announced during a formal ceremony. The Galactic Council hereby appoints you as the first Supreme Strategic Commander of the Galactic Defense Corps. Skinho accepted the position. He looked around at the assembled aliens and humans working together. The same predatory instincts that had once made aliens fear humans were now protecting an entire galaxy. The Devourers taught us something important, he said in his acceptance speech. They showed us that running from threats doesn't make them go away. Sometimes you have to turn around and fight. And when prey species and predator species work together, added Taiwan, we can fight threats that neither could handle alone. Dr. Sung-Yan Cho watched from Earth as the ceremony concluded. His research had begun with trying to understand why aliens couldn't look humans in the eye. Now, that same research had led to the creation of the most powerful military alliance in galactic history. Sir, Dr. Hiram Nam said, joining him at the observation window. The latest reports showed that 17 more species have requested to join the Galactic Defense Corps. They want human strategic advisors for their defense fleets, and will provide them, Sung-Yan replied. But more importantly, we'll teach them that being prey doesn't mean being helpless. When prey species learn to think strategically, they become something the galaxy has never seen before. As the years passed, the galaxy changed in ways nobody had imagined. Humans were no longer seen as frightening predators, but as essential partners in galactic defense. The eye contact that had once terrified alien species became a symbol of trust and cooperation. The Devourers eventually returned, as everyone knew they would. But they found a galaxy that was no longer defenseless. They found prey species that had learned to fight like predators. Predator species that had learned to protect rather than hunt. They found a galaxy that was ready for war, led by the species whose eyes had once been too frightening to meet, but were now the eyes that watched over them all. The 10-second rule remained, but it was no longer about fear. It was about respect, understanding, and the knowledge that sometimes the most frightening things about a species can become their greatest gifts to the galaxy.